Welcome all, the Bhagavad Gita. Seasons in the Indian sun. Well, everybody's heard that song. So, in Bhagavad Gita, we have mention of different seasons. You probably know that the Indian calendar is not really based on the Western calendar. The Indian New Year is not 1st January, when everything is cold and asleep and dead, but somewhere between end March and early April, at the beginning of spring, when the sun has chased away the last of the winter chill and new life is bursting out of everywhere. In other words, at a far more logical time to celebrate new beginnings than 1st of January. Because the Hindu, or you could say the Indian calendar, is based on the movements of the moon and the stars. The date of Indian New Year shifts slightly from year to year, so we cannot actually pin down the dates according to the Western calendar for each of the 12 Hindu months. We cannot say, for instance, that the first month, Chaitra, starts on 23rd March every year, but we can associate each Indian month with particular festivals, for instance, or agricultural patterns. So let's get acquainted with them. The first month, which falls between March and April, is called the month of Chaitra. And that's the Happy New Year for Hindus, yes. The first day of the month of Chaitra and the first day of the Hindu calendar is celebrated as Ugadi, that is Gudi Parva, and the Thapna in different parts of the country. Then we have the month of April and May, which is called Vaishakha. In Punjab, it's time for the harvest festival of Baisakhi. In Kerala, Vishu is celebrated with lights and fireworks. Buddhists reckon the full moon night of this month to be the birthday of Gautam Buddha himself, celebrating it as Buddha Purnima. May-June is the month of Jeshta. As the Indian summer reaches its peak, the heat sends everyone scurrying indoors. That's probably why Hindus believe that the goddess Ganga descended to earth in this month and gathered on her banks for a dip in her cooling waters as part of Ganga Dashera. Then comes June and July, that's called Ashadha, means the month of Ashadha. The Indian monsoons arrive, ending the scorching summer and sending people dancing into the streets. But the torrential rains and flooding of rivers makes it an inconvenient, impractical month for celebrations like weddings and housewarmings. The Hindus have made it easier for everyone to refrain by labeling Ashad a mostly inauspicious month. That means no major thing takes place during this month, like no invitations would be pouring in, only the waters would be pouring in. Then comes the month of Shravana, that falls in July and August. The monsoon recedes and cooler weather sets in. It's time for the Hindu festive season to begin, which kicks off with Krishna Janmashtami, that's the birthday of Lord Krishna, right in the middle of the monsoon, and also includes the festival of sibling love called Raksha Bandhan, like where the sister ties a thread to her brother. Then we call the month of Bhadrapad, that is, which falls in August and September. On the fourth day, or Chaturthi is like equivalent to number 4, of Bhadrapad, means the Bhado season, the beloved elephant-headed god is brought home to great joy and festivities, particularly in Maharashtra and Karnataka. And then, of course, people rejoice, and this is when we say we have Ganesh Chaturthi begins. Then comes the month of September and October, that is called the month of Ashvina. In the month of Ashwina, the Hindu festive season explodes with Durga Puja in West Bengal, Navaratri in Gujarat, and Dussehra and in most parts of the country. Then finally we have Kartika, which is in the month of October and November. Winter is around the corner. The days are shorter, the nights are longer, and the time is therefore perfect for Diwali, or you could call it Deepavali, the festival of lights, which coincides with the darkest night of the year, the new moon night of Kartika. Then comes the month of November and December, and we call this month Agrahayana, or you can say some people call it Marga Shirsha, the month that Krishna calls the best of months in the 10th chapter of the Gita is nippy and lovely, the best time of the year in hot tropical India. This is a good time to sit around in the sun drinking chai, drinking tea, and eating pakoras, means those puffed things. Then we have the month of December and January, Posha, the dark heat of winter when northern India shivers and south and west India enjoys some of the best weather of the year. Towards the end of Posha, to commemorate the harvest of the winter crops, the whole country celebrates, calling the event by different names. Some people call it Makar Sankranti. In South, we call it Pongal, Uttarayan in Gujarat, Lohri in Punjab, Maghi, and Bihu. See, so many names. Then we have the month of January and February, Magha, the month of Magha. There is still a nip in the air. The trees shed their leaves, clearing the decks for their new coats of fresh green foliage come the spring. It's time to celebrate the great night of Lord Shiva, Mahashivaratri, the anniversary of the marriage of Shiva and Parvati. And then we have February and March, which is the month of Fagun. Flower bearing spring arrives in all its colorful, scented glory. The last day of Fagun, which heralds the coming of warmer, longer days, is celebrated in the best way possible by throwing buckets of colored water at family and friends as a part of the much loved festival of Holi. And then, how can we just avoid the seasons? We have half a dozen seasons also. The four seasons known in the West, summer, fall, winter, and spring, in that order, are just not enough to contain and cover all the different and wonderful seasons we have here in India. That's why there are officially 6 seasons in the Indian calendar, each lasting 2 months and each with its own evocative name. First is your Vasant Ritu, that's your beautiful springs, according to Krishna is the foremost among seasons, Fagun and Chaitra. Then we have Grishma Ritu, that is your blazing summer, ending with the summer solstice. And then we have Varsha Ritu, that means the rain starts falling, the great Indian monsoon. And then we have Sharad Ritu, that's called autumn, or you could call it fall. But of course, it's not marked so much by the shedding of leaves, only in the northern part, perhaps. And then we have Hemant Ritu, that's your pre-winter, and it's the most pleasant time of the year across India. And then we have Shishir Ritu, that is your deep winter, which ends with 2 weeks of severe dry weather, during which many trees shed their leaves, creating a brief tropical fall. So, there you go, all the seasons and all the different months. Thank you so much for listening. Do subscribe and share.
चलो चले जा रहे हैं मुझे लगा ऊपर जा भी फटेगा। ôi là lộc quá kìa.